Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into my channel. So today I'm not going to be doing a funny, sarcastic video about makeup or cooking or whatever else random thing comes to my mind. This is a video about something that's very near and dear to my heart, about my weight loss surgery and the problems I've had with it. This is information I feel needs to get out there and more people to speak about it. There's already a lot of shame about having weight loss surgery, and I find there's even more shame about it when the weight loss surgery goes bad or when there's problems. Already being overweight is bad enough. When you get weight loss surgery, you're open to a lot of criticism. So I'm going to put this information out there because I feel like people need to know about this type of surgery and what it can do. I'm going to go into the reasons why I got this surgery done. I know there's a lot of people that criticize me and saying, why didn't you just eat right and exercise? Well, that's another story for another day about my weight loss struggles, my take on being overweight, and my personal issues with being overweight. I will say this surgery was not done on a whim. It was something I consulted my doctor about, my doctor who I had for many years, who I trusted. At the time, the gastric band was seen to be a very favorable way to help lose weight, like surgically. It was considered less invasive than the traditional gastric bypass or anything else because it can be removed, it can be undone, it can be adjusted. It was a great alternative. At the time when I got the surgery done almost 5 years ago, there was a lot of good reviews about it. It was just starting to gain momentum and the bad things weren't really out there yet. Second of all, I know people are going to say, oh, you're just upset because you're a fat girl that got surgery and it didn't work like a magic cure like you thought it would, and you're not a supermodel and that's why you're upset. No. I will leave links down below. The doctor who performed my surgery has had his license suspended, not because of my case, but because of other people's cases. He has killed people. People have died from his malpractice and his negligence. Okay? So I'm not just somebody sitting here whining and complaining. The man who did my surgery is a hack. The clinic where I got it done has now been shut down. They're a bunch of hacks. And from what I understand from my research, there is a class action lawsuit. So I haven't joined that class action lawsuit. I've been trying to figure out how to maybe get in touch. For me, it's not about the money to make me rich. It's about getting the money to reverse this surgery, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. So what I had done was the gastric band. Now what the band does, I've made an incredibly unscientific diagram. Look at that. Isn't that great? Okay. So what the band does is that it clamps the top part of your stomach, and the idea is that you feel full while eating less food. You're supposed to be able to eat about a cup to a cup and a half of food every meal, and then you feel full. And then it slowly trickles down to the rest of your stomach and so on and so forth. And so this is a band. And what this part here is like a tube with a port that goes to just underneath your skin, just below your rib cage. And that is where they do the adjustments. So this tube and this band is filled with saline solution. And so to make this band tighter, they fill you with saline solution. To make it looser, they go through the port and they take out the saline solution. So that's technically how it's supposed to work. Towards the top part of your stomach, and you eat. It sounds simple. It sounds logical. There's a lot of problems with that. I think obviously, you put something different in your body, there's going to be problems. A few things I was warned about before I got the surgery was you're going to have to make sure you eat slowly and small bites. Okay, that makes sense. Most people who try to lose weight, that's a good philosophy anyway, because then you feel fuller faster. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. They also recommend, that you eat your protein first because that takes longer to digest, and then your veggies, and then your carbs. So that way It takes longer to digest and you feel full faster. That's great. I was not told about any restrictions on what I should eat and what I shouldn't eat. Again, it's only a tool. So if you're going to fill up that cup and a half size, with ice cream, you're still going to gain weight. But they didn't tell me like, oh, you can't have fresh fruits and vegetables. You can't have bread. You can't, like, I was never warned about a lot of those things that the majority of people who get this gastric ban no longer can eat. Let's see. You want to lose weight, but you can't eat fresh fruit and vegetables. Yeah, that sounds like a perfect friggin' diet right there, folks. Seriously. I wasn't warned about that. I was just warned that you're going to have to make sure you eat slowly. And also I was told about a hard stop. And what a hard stop is, if like, let's say you first start your meal and you accidentally take a too big a bite and swallow too hard, it could get kind of stuck in that hole that between your first little stomach that they've made and your second stomach. And that can hurt, okay? Now, I was told that there may be some discomfort while eating. Discomfort is definitely not the word that I would use. It can be pretty friggin' painful, okay? It's painful. And I want to put this out there if somebody is considering getting the surgery done. I don't recommend it. And then what happens is sometimes when you're eating, you can do what's called proactive burping. And that is kind of like a mixture between a hiccup and a burp. Again, not very nice, not very pleasant at all. So I knew about these side effects, that I may have unpleasant burping and food may get stuck. And then sometimes if food gets stuck, you may throw it up. Those things are very common side effects for weight loss surgery, and I was expecting those. I wasn't expecting not to be able to eat fresh fruit and vegetables again, and most meat or anything, healthy. Pretty much, I wasn't expecting that. So I wasn't told about, any diet restrictions before I got the surgery, or I probably wouldn't have got it done. Because before I got the surgery, I was losing weight on my own. I was eating a higher protein, low carb diet. And that was working really well for me. It wasn't any sort of particular plan. It was just, I pretty much was trying to eliminate as many carbs as I could from my diet. And I was eating a lot of chicken and broccoli salad. I was losing weight that way. The man people were very helpful before I got my surgery. Now this, even though I'm a Canadian, this was done privately. It cost $16,000. So my partner and I at the time, we took out the loan. I was working. Not that we were making a ton of money, but I really thought I was in my 30s, mid-30s, 36 years old, and I really was like wanting to be healthy because I'm getting older. Thankfully, at the time, I didn't have any negative effects from being overweight. I wasn't diabetic. I'm still not, but I wasn't diabetic or having high blood pressure, but I didn't want to get like that. I had a young son. I wanted to live for him. I had a job that I loved. I had a lot of reasons to live, and that's why I'm like, okay, well, I'm losing weight, but I want this extra tool. So in Canada, I know in Nova Scotia and even now in Quebec, a lot of the governments don't cover weight loss surgery unless you have problems because of that. So let's say you're overweight and you got diabetes, or I shouldn't say even overweight, morbidly obese, and you got diabetes and high blood pressure and all these other problems. They will put you on a list to get the surgery done. And that list can be a very, very, very long time. Okay? They usually do the emergency people, the people at higher risk first, and then it's just a long wait list. So even when my doctor and I were sort of speaking about that, she's like, well, even if you went on the list, you could be on the list for years in Nova Scotia. And even in Quebec, you could be on the list for a long time because you don't have any other problems related to your weight, which is kind of silly. To me, it's like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but whatever. That's the reason why I didn't take the public route. So I paid the $16,000. I had to fly to Toronto. That was on my own cost, so that was another added cost with the hotel room. It was a day surgery. I went in and the doctor met with me and this other woman who was going to have the procedure done that day, and he spoke to us, and we went in. I woke up from the surgery. I wasn't really in any pain or discomfort. The doctor did not come see me after that. I had a nurse who was nice enough, but nobody came and talked to me. They also didn't send me home with any pain medication. They gave me a prescription, which I was like, okay. So I was supposed to stay in Toronto that day, just in case anything went wrong. So I stayed in Toronto for the rest of the day, and I flew home to Nova Scotia the next morning. Now for the next, I guess you could say, a week or two, I had to be on a clear liquid diet, so broth. Then I could slowly move up to things like Jello, and then eventually, you know, soft eggs and mashed potatoes. Little did I know that that would be pretty much my life from there on, and that's, solid food is a luxury for me right now. I'm still trying to eat swallow solid food, sorry. And they would get stuck, and it hurts. The only way I can describe the pain of when food gets stuck in that hole, have you ever swallowed something really hard and sharp? Like, I don't know, I used to get this with French fries sometimes, like the little pointy ends of French fries, and you could feel it going down in your esophagus, and it feels like something scraping down your back, and it's pointy, and it's really uncomfortable. It's like that, but worse, because it just stays right there, kind of like right in the middle of your chest, and it hurts. And you either gotta wait for it to go down or wait for it to come back up. One thing, now they did say that sometimes food will come back up. One thing that I didn't realize is how much more painful vomiting would be. Vomiting is excruciating painful because you get your whole stomach kind of in this spasm, in this heave, but then you got this band around it that's kind of preventing that. It feels like you're trying to throw up through a straw. When I throw up, it's very common for the capillaries to break all through my forehead and around my face. But 2 weeks ago when I threw up, I had capillaries break all through here. It is extremely painful. So it's not like, oh, poo, you know, the food comes up like a cat spitting up a hairball. No. Also, too, sometimes if you get food stuck or food doesn't go down properly, because let me tell you, I could sit there and I could take a piece of food. Now, I take pieces of food probably about the size of a blueberry, and I can chew. I can basically make that piece of food mush, and it can still get stuck, and I will still throw it up, or it will sit there in my stomach for however long it takes until it goes down. I can have food and be in that kind of pain for an hour, if not more sometimes. Sometimes drinking a little bit of liquid helps. I found that drinking carbonated beverages can help move it down. So it's not like I'm going against the diet and just wolfing my food down or eating whatever. I tried a million different ways from Sunday to eat different solid foods. Some days are better than others. Usually with the lap band, when you first get up in the morning, it's a little bit tighter, and throughout the day it loosens up. I was having problems because this lap band was too tight. Now, part of getting this band done was that it was adjustable. So I'm like, okay, obviously it's too tight. I'm going to get them to loosen it, okay? And part of what I paid for with the slim band was for a year after you get the surgery, the adjustments were free. And then they're supposed to offer you support for 5 years afterwards. So I was living in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I flew to Toronto. There was supposed to be somebody in Halifax that did the adjustments, a nurse. I went to see her. Very, very, very nice lady. But she couldn't find the port. What happens sometimes is, sorry for making all this noise, this port here which is supposed to be, you know, front side, will get flipped over or turned around. So the part where the needle goes in to either take out or fill the solution won't be necessarily upwards. And so she couldn't find the opening of the port. She tried a couple of times, we made several appointments. It didn't work. So my only other solution was to go see this doctor in Sackville, New Brunswick. I had to take a trip to Sackville, New Brunswick. It was in November. Thankfully, the weather was decent because, you know, it's Canada and you know, it's Canada. Snow happens. My partner and I had to take time off of work. We had to drive all the way to New Brunswick. The man was I will say, he was very, very nice. He was very, very helpful. And he discovered that my port had kind of flipped. Not completely around, because if it flips completely around, you have to get it surgically corrected. But it did flip kind of at a 45-degree angle. And so it did take him a while, and he did do an adjustment on me. And he told me, he's like, okay, well, you can tell the next person, maybe the lady in Halifax, if she goes in at this angle by your scar, she'll more likely be able to reach where the opening of the port is. So I was like, okay, now this is very important information, okay? This man was very detailed, and he wrote down exactly how to get to my port, okay? Exactly. So, and he gave that to me. So this is important for you to remember. So he adjusted me. I had it loosened up a bit, so I thought, oh, this is going to be great. Well, I was still having problems. So I got the surgery done in August. This was November. And it's recommended that you wait 4 to 6 weeks between adjustments just to kind of let everything, you know, settle. 4 to 6 weeks passed, but by then we're in the middle of winter in Canada. And driving from Halifax to New Brunswick is not recommended because it could be sunny when you leave and a blizzard when you get there. So I actually called the lady back in Halifax and I said, you know, I got a list of you know, what you can do to help me. She wasn't comfortable with that. Okay, she wasn't comfortable with that. She told me to go back to New Brunswick. I'm like, okay, so now I have to take more time off of work and expense to go to New Brunswick. But whatever, that doctor there knows what he's doing. I'll make it happen. So I kind of had to suffer through the winter. Long story short, a whole bunch of things happened in my personal life, and I didn't get to New Brunswick. I had come up here to Montreal. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll make an appointment to see the doctor here in Montreal. So I went to see this doctor. Now, I brought my list with me of what needed to be done to make an adjustment. And I clearly told this doctor, now I realize it's Montreal and sometimes there's a language barrier. There was no language barrier. This man spoke perfect English. Okay, he was very Anglo. French was probably his second language. So just to make that clear. And he came in the office and I told him what I needed. I said, I need more liquid. Take it out. This is too tight. And he's like, oh, no problem, no problem. And he had a syringe filled with liquid. And I'm like, no, I want to fill. Oh, no problem. Just lift your shirt. And I'm like, well, I normally have to lie down because, and he's like, lift your shirt. So I lifted my shirt and he injected me with liquid. Now, why did I let him do that? I don't know. I think I was just so like dumbfounded because he was very loud and overbearing. And he was just like, that's my own stupid fault. I will say that. But I mean, he injected me with liquid. It didn't even go in my port. Okay. I know from the doctor, I should say, in Sackville, New Brunswick, spending like 45 minutes trying to find my port and fiddling with it and trying to adjust me, what it feels like to have an adjustment, what it feels like when liquid goes into my port. I know he didn't get liquid into my port. Thankfully, I didn't want more liquid in my port. I wanted less. But he was like, oh, no, and then he left. And I was trying to get a hold of the receptionist. I'm like, excuse me, no, this is not what I wanted. This clinic, which is kind of more on the outskirts of off-island Montreal, so I'll never go there again for anything because of the way I was treated. They're like, oh, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he's busy, you know, he did the adjustment, he did what, no, I wanted liquid out. I didn't want more liquid in. I mean, like I said, he didn't get any in anyway, but still, I want liquid out. So I came home and I called up Slim Band, sorry. Slim Fast, not the diet shakes. I called up Slim Band and I was like, I was angry. I told them, like, and they're like, well, you're going to have to go to a doctor in Ottawa. What? Really? No. I'm not going to a doctor in Ottawa. I don't own a car, first of all, to get to Ottawa. I know it's only a 2-hour drive. I could probably take the train, but still, I'm not going to Ottawa. And I was also very upset because I'm like, this doctor should not be doing adjustments. He did not listen to me at all. at all. And I assume you people are probably going to pay him for this service, and he did crappy service, and I want to file an actual complaint. Well, they're like, well, we'll take your name and number and call you back. They never called me back. I called several times, and they never called me back. I'm like, this dude here is supposed to be doing adjustments for people in Montreal, and he's a crackhead. He's a crackhead. He's basically taking people's money and running and not doing. And how many people in Montreal may have gotten this operation done in Toronto with the Slim Band company, and now they're not being properly taken care of? But Slim Band doesn't care because they have your money. They're getting your money. So they don't care. They did not care. I've made several calls about my aftercare after that. I'm like, this is too tight. I need help. Oh, go to Ottawa. Go to Ottawa. At that time, I didn't really have money to go to Ottawa. I was unemployed. I was in a really bad situation. It's like, how am I supposed to go to Ottawa, find this doctor, possibly stay overnight? Like, I didn't really know what to do. I was extremely frustrated and extremely upset. By the time I could go to Ottawa, that I could actually have the money together, it was 1 year past my operation date. So they no longer supported my fills. I would have to pay for it myself, which would be an extra $200, $300 on top of that, which I didn't have. I didn't have. For the longest time when I first came to Montreal, I was broke. We were broke, like really, really broke, like going to the food bank broke. So, you know, that's why I didn't even have money to get there in the first place to, you know, get the adjustment even when I was still covered. You do get this package after I had the surgery for a regular doctor to possibly fill or, you know, to adjust this band. Every doctor that I've approached to help adjust this band is not comfortable with this. They don't want to do it. They don't want to touch it. Probably because, you know, the reports have come out that this is a crappy thing to do. They don't want to touch it. So I decided, that's it. I want out. I want this off because I am tired of only eating soft food. It's causing a lot of pain, a lot of depression, a lot of frustration. I can feel it now. Like when I swallow, I can feel it. When I get up in the morning, I can barely swallow my own spit. Okay? I have to drink like something warm. Usually I'll grab a cup of coffee because I like coffee to kind of warm it up. And then maybe after I had coffee, I can maybe eat a yogurt. I usually choke on the yogurt, but I'll try to eat little bits of yogurt. Or I'll try a smoothie, something like that. And it usually takes me a little while to drink the smoothie. That's my life. Then maybe later on the day, I could try more solid type foods. It depends on the day. You're thinking, well, you can't really eat that much. Why are you still fat? Because basically, if you're living on a liquid diet, you get hungrier faster. I still get hungry pains. So I end up eating, you know, probably more mushy stuff that isn't so good for you. Like mashed potatoes, which is very high in carbs. And I try to watch my calories. But between this and some other health issues that I've had in my life, it's added to being depressed. So then, you know, you're more likely to eat something that you shouldn't, like chocolate, which goes down perfectly easy. Ice cream, which goes down perfectly easy. Some days I'm in so much pain and I'm so fed up. I'm like, I'm hungry. I don't care. I'll eat chocolate because it's not going to hurt me and it will fill me. I crave fresh fruits and vegetables I never had in my life. I would give anything to be able to bite into a strawberry. Anything. I feel like if you ever watched that movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, and, you know, the dead captain, he's holding up the apple, and he wants to eat the apple, and he can't wait until he can eat the apple again because it's been so long, and he just carries around this apple. It's like a tease to him. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about 99% of the foods out there. I want it, but I can't eat it. I am so limited to what I can eat. So yeah, I get angry and I get depressed and I eat things that I shouldn't because it soothes me and it makes me feel better. And also during this time in the past 5 years, I have had other problems with my health, which has caused me to feel like a sloth. I was in a car accident where I received a significant head injury. So I had to kind of deal with that. So it's not like I could even try to exercise to combat the calories I was eating. It's hard to exercise when you have no balance. It's hard to exercise when you're not allowed to go out by yourself and your partner still has to try to work and take care of kids and stuff like that. So that added to it as well. So I did go to the doctors here in Quebec. I'm like, please help me to get this removed. And referral has been made into the public system probably about 14, 15 months ago. But I was told because it's not considered an emergency, it will take a while to get this done. Also, the public system is very unhappy about having to reverse these things that were done in a private clinic because it costs the taxpayers money. I can understand why taxpayers don't want to pay for somebody's botched surgery that they got in a private clinic. I completely can understand that, okay? The past month or so especially have been quite horrid for me and how much pain I'm in. Like I said, it's getting to the point where my esophagus has been irritated and inflamed. So even drinking that morning coffee is painful and can hurt. So we have decided to look for private ways to get this done, private surgeon. And I have found one. But it's going to cost me $7,000. I'm still not working now because of the car accident. We're a family of 4 living off of one income, basically. We're going to try to make this happen. I told myself I wasn't going to cry. But I'm so mad. And I'm mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself that I did something so stupid. Woo, hopefully I can edit that out. So I'm putting this out as a warning to people. I know being morbidly obese stinks. It doesn't stink as much as what I'm going through right now. It doesn't stink because I'm fat. And it's not because I'm fat because I'm sitting eating McDonald's every day. I'm fat because I'm depressed and eating chocolate because that's, you know, smooth, creamy things is one of the only things I can eat that doesn't cause me pain. So I'm going to do what I can to try to raise $7,000 for the surgery if we have to take out a loan. I am starting a GoFundMe page. That's not what this video is about, to ask for money, but I'll try to link it down below if you would like to, you know, throw a buck or two. I know most people are like me. They don't have a ton of extra money for any of this, but I'm like, hey, why not? People start GoFundMes for making potato salad. I can make a GoFundMe for this. That's the way I thought about it. Oh, sorry about that creaking. That's my rocking chair. Anyway, I'll leave links down below to the articles and about the Slim Band. The Slim Band clinic is now closed. They say they're still offering support to their patients. They have not offered me support. I have tried to call them again, you know, even after my financial situation got better. That's my phone. My financial situation got better to maybe get an adjustment, and apparently the doctor doesn't do it in Ottawa anymore. I would have to go to Toronto because I guess there's only one doctor that they deal with now in Toronto. If I wanted to get removed, I would have to go to this doctor in Toronto and they would still charge me. I don't want to be giving any more money to these Slim Band people or possibly that doctor who fucked me up. Oh, before I go, I did have an x-ray or an ultrasound to see if this Slim Band was in the right place. The first x-ray I got showed that the Slim Band's in the right place. I had another x-ray done probably about 3-4 months ago, and it does show that it has slipped. There's people that have had slippage and caused holes in their stomach and kidney failure for some of, I can't remember, gallbladder, like some other, you know, really massive side effects that thankfully I haven't suffered yet. I just, you know, it has slipped, which is probably causing me even the more issues. But my esophagus is constantly inflamed. I have had, you know, the scope down the throat to confirm that. This a number of reasons why this gastric band has fallen out of favor for, you know, weight loss solutions. Hindsight 2020, I rather kept on eating my chicken and broccoli salad and try to lose weight that way. But, you know, here I am now. We all make really gigantic mistakes once in a while, and this is one of mine. Please, if you choose to do weight loss surgery, research it. Gastric bypass has been around for a long time. That has some horrible side effects too, but it still seems to be safer than this. The gastric sleeve seems to be safer than this, but every once in a while you see new things coming up, like putting the balloon in your stomach. Please, make sure you do your research. Thankfully now there's more people like me out there that are putting videos on YouTube, and I'm starting to ramble. So thank you everybody. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to my story. And if you have somebody in your life who's considering the surgery, please have them either listen to my story or do their own research. Okay, I thank you. I thank you for listening if you made it this far. And I thank you for the people that support me and my partner Bruce, who is willing to, you know, move heaven and earth to help me get this fixed.